Let's talk a little bit about the different Excel menus and what commands they have and some of their main commands. We're not going to go into a whole lot of detail about each menu right now, but I just want you to get the general idea of what you're looking at and where you're going to find certain things. Right here, what I've got open is the home menu. On the home menu, you're going to find mostly everything you need to format text. You're going to have all these little functions which allow you to change the text fonts. You're going to have these functions here which allow you to copy, paste and paste formats in your worksheet. You're going to have this number format box. This thing allows you to control how many decimal places your numbers have and what their format is. You have conditional formats and styles here. And you have these little controls here which control how wide your rows and columns get. And you also have these functions which enable you to sort, filter your data, to find data on your worksheet. And you have the auto sum function here. We're going to see what auto sum is in a little while. Second menu you have is the insert menu. The insert menu allows you to create different views in your worksheet and different elements. You can create pivot tables. We're going to see those probably at the end of this tutorial. You can insert pictures into your worksheet by using this option here, pictures. You have shapes and smart art. That's what was called clip art before. These are little pictures that you can insert into your worksheet that come built into Excel. You don't have to download them. If we click here, see, there's a bunch of little pictures that are pre-made that you can just insert into your worksheet. Getting back to the insert menu, you have these add-ins. That's not really important right now. You have the charts menu. This is where you create bar graphs, line graphs, XY scatter plots. Any kind of chart you need, you're going to need to go here to insert charts. Then you have these other functions, spark lines. We're not going to go into that right now. You have slicer filters and timeline filters. We're not going to go into that either. Hyperlinks. And this little text menu is where you can insert text related items that aren't data in your cells. Now we're going to look into that a little bit later as to why you'd want to insert text into your worksheet but not have it become a part of the cell itself. For example, I can do a text box here. And that text box is not going to be a part of these cells. I can actually move it around and whatever on my worksheet. But that's what these are for. Text box, word art, signature line. And here is where you insert mathematical symbols. If you need the Greek letters that you normally use for math, they're right here. In symbols, you simply open this menu, look at the symbol you want, you select it, and you type insert. And here's the symbol in your current cell. You can also insert an equation here using the equation writer that Office has. That's really useful if you're doing, for example, lab reports or something where you need to insert a mathematical formula directly into your worksheet. For example, if we wanted to explain what formula is behind this and it's a mathematical equation, we'd use the equation writer in order to put it here on our worksheet. Okay, third menu, page layout. Page layout controls how our printout is going to look. If you remember a couple of chapters ago, I was talking about the page break preview and about other controls here which allow us to see how our printed page is going to come out. Well, the page layout menu is what controls what information is displayed here. This page break preview that I have here is controlled by all of this. On page layout, I have themes. If you want to use pre-made themes on your worksheet, you can use them. I normally don't use them. I find that the color schemes and everything really doesn't go with what I normally do. But anyway, you click here on themes and you select the color combination and other things that you want to apply onto your worksheet. Let's not do that for now. Page setup is where you control your printout, and this is one of the most important parts in Excel. As you can see here, you can control your margins, you can control whether your page is portrait or landscape mode, you can control the size of the page, the print area, and a whole bunch of other things that are going to be really useful if you want to print out the results of your Excel sheets. You can scale your worksheet to fit here. That means that you can scale how the printout looks. We're going to go into that a little bit later, how to scale worksheets, but keep in mind that here in page layout, scale to fit is where you control how many pages you see per printed page. Now grid lines, this is a real interesting option. Normally when you start an Excel sheet, you get all these grid lines separating the rows and the columns. But once you're done entering your data, sometimes these lines look kind of awful and they interfere with your view. So what you do is you click here on grid lines, and that removes the grid lines, and it looks a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to read. If you click here on view, you can put them up again and keep entering data. You can also turn headings on and off here, and these are controls for arranging objects on your worksheet. You can bring them forward, backwards, align them, group them. For example, this little smiley face that I did a while back, this is an object. I can align it, bring it forward, backwards. That's what these controls do. The formulas menu allows you access to the different functions that Excel has. Excel has this thing called functions, which are mainly automated routines that do different calculations for you. And this is where you can find them. You can insert a function here. You can do auto sum functions, financial functions, logical functions, text functions, and so on. This name manager button, keep in mind that it's here in formulas. We're going to go into named ranges a little bit later. This allows you to control and define the different names in your workbook. Formula auditing is mainly useful when we start to get circular references and stuff like that. We're going to go into circular references a bit later, but if you get an error in your formulas, this is where you can track what's going on in the formula and see where exactly your error is. Right here at the very end of the formulas bar is this thing which says calculation options. You normally don't touch these things. This thing determines how Excel calculates. For example, if you set it to automatic, every time that you change something in your worksheet, Excel is going to recalculate the entire thing automatically. This is normally where you keep Excel. But if for some reason you change it to manual, Excel is going to stop calculating automatically. If it ever happens that you enter a number and your formulas stop working, check this calculation options window. Check that it's in automatic mode and not in manual mode. Sometimes it gets set to manual mode for several reasons. Either Excel does it automatically or there's some error which sets it here and your Excel formulas stop working. So you check here in calculation options and set it to automatic. But normally you shouldn't have to touch this. The data menu contains different options to get external data from other applications. For example, I can get external data from Microsoft Access, from the web, from text, and other sources. I can query databases. I can create data connections with other worksheets, so the result of a separate Excel file gets imported into my worksheet automatically. Here I can sort and filter. I have data tools which do things like removing duplicates. They allow me to restrict what kind of data people can enter on the worksheet. For example, if I want them to enter a whole number instead of a decimal number, I can set Excel so that it only allows whole numbers, and if they enter a decimal, they're going to get an error message. But we're going to go into that a little bit later. We have forecast options, and this outline allows me to create outlines with my rows and my columns. This review menu or review pane is where I have my spell check functions, and I have these functions to add comments into my worksheet. It's really useful in Excel. For example, this value, I can put in a comment and say this value needs to be checked. And when someone gets this worksheet and they see there's a comment, they're going to get that message, this value needs to be checked. That's what this comments function is for. It's pretty important. You should remember that it's right here in the review menu. And these are the protect functions. We're not going to go into those right now, but they essentially allow you to keep people from messing up your formulas on your Excel worksheets. The view menu contains functions that are quite similar to these that we had down here on the lower right corner. only these are far more detailed. We have the three main buttons: normal, page break, layout, page layout, which are these same buttons, but up here we can turn the grid lines on and off. We can turn headings and formula bars on and off. We can control the zoom on our worksheet, and we can control the windows that Excel has open, and also we can freeze the panes. We're going to see what freezing panes does a little bit later, but keep in mind that freeze panes is right here in the view menu. And this Acrobat menu is only because I have Adobe Acrobat installed on my computer. This is where I create PDFs and stuff. You might have this menu, you might not have that menu. Right here at the very end, I have this menu, and notice that it's a dark green color. That means that it's a context menu, and it only appears in certain situations. For example, right now that I have a table open, I get this menu called Table Tools. If I don't have a table selected, then it disappears. See, as soon as I move into the table, I get the Table Tools menu, and that one has a design option, which allows me to change the design of this particular table. But as soon as I step out of the table, that menu disappears. You're going to see that there's a lot of context menus like that one in Excel that appear and disappear as you move through different functions in Excel. So that's what a context menu does. And finally, right here, you have a help box. You can type here any question that you have, and Excel will try to find the answer in the online help. And that's the menus that you have on the Excel ribbon. As you can see, there's a whole lot of ground to cover, a whole lot of functions that Excel has, but that's more or less where they're grouped. As you can see, everything we need to do in Excel is here on this ribbon and here in these menus and their different buttons. Thanks for watching this video tutorial. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and to visit our website, cubicleoverlords.com, for more instructional videos like this one.